So the screen is shared, not shared yet, no? Okay. Okay, so what we'll do, you want me to revise future currency also, currency future, or should we directly start with options?
We'll go with options only, sir.
Options only, no? Okay, okay, sure. So options contract, now I'll explain options contract with the help of currency futures. Huh? I'll explain with the help of currency futures. Okay, so forex hedging, with the help of forex hedging. So in forex hedging, what happens with the options contract? Okay. So first thing in forex hedging, what we are going to do, we are going to hedge against our foreign fluctuation.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, can you please like brief about hedging also?
Okay.
Just like brief meaning.
Okay. See, hedging means what? Hedging means you are reducing the risk, correct? So right now, for example, I have entered into a contract where 1 USD equal to 73 rupees as of today, correct? So as of, let us say, July 30, I have entered into this contract, okay? And this is payable after 2 months. Let us say this is payable after 2 months, okay? So any one of you, do you know what the rate is going to be on September 30? No one is going to know what is the rate on September 30, right? So we don't know what the rate on September 30 is. So we want to hedge against this risk, correct? That in the future, let us say I was payable 1 USD equal to 73, and on September 30, 1 USD goes to, let us say, 79. Means what? Means I am just paying 6 rupees per dollar extra I am going to pay, correct? Because why? Because I did not know what is going to be my rate in the future. Okay, let us say my contract was $1 million. My contract was $1 million, means per dollar I have lost 6 rupees. So directly I have lost how much? Directly I have lost 60 lakh rupees, correct? Just due to what? Due to taking the risk. Okay, no insurance company is going to give me anything, any compensation for such type of risk, correct? So I want to reduce such risk, that's why I'm going for hedging. Okay, so in our forex hedging also, there are different methods. One is your forward contract, correct? Then one is your money market contract, one is your futures contract, then options contract, and then you have your currency swap or currency swaps, correct? So forex hedging will have these 5 contracts we are going to have, correct? So forward and money market you have learned, futures you have learned. So you are confused about options. So I'll teach options today so that it can help you in real option pricing with NPV also, correct? So that is what we are doing. That we are going to hedge against this risk of $6 per dollar fluctuation, correct? No? So now the difference between forward and options is same. Forward is what? Forward is a unregulated contract. It is an unregulated contract, whereas your options contract is what? Options contract is a regulated contract. Okay, again, forward, since it is unregulated, there is no governing body, correct? So there is no cost of forward contract. But options contract, it is a governed contract. Okay, so we have to pay premium. How to pay premium I'll explain in detail. Okay, how to pay premium I'll explain in detail. So that is there, and we can enter into any amount. For forward contract we can enter into any amount, but for options contract we need to enter only into what? Only into standard contract size. Okay, so these 3 differences will remain same, whether it is forward and future or whether it is your forward and options contract, correct? So you just have to remember, options contract are regulated, governed by stock exchange. They will charge a cost, that is a premium, and you cannot enter into any random amount of forward contract. It has to be of a particular contract size. Okay, so now let us understand what exactly this options contract is. Okay, what exactly this options contract is supposed to be. Okay, so now see again one more difference between forward and options contract. So on 1st August, okay, on 1st August, let us say Ranjan and Neola enter into a contract, and they pre-decide a price for future, correct? So that is they pre-decide what the price is going to be. Price is going to be on, let us say, 1st October. Okay, so they pre-decided the price on 1st October as 1st October price should be $1 is equal to, let us say, 75 rupees. 75 rupees. Okay, so on settlement date, what will happen? If this was not an options contract, if this was not an options contract, it was a forward or future contract, then they have to by default stick to $1 is equal to 75 rupees. They have to by default stick to $1 equal to 75 rupees. Okay, but if it is an options contract, what will happen? The buyer of the contract will say, I want to choose, I want to choose between what? I want to choose between $1 equal to 75 rupees. That is the pre-decided rate. Okay, or I want to choose between 1st October rate, that is the spot rate on 1st October, whatever is the market rate. Correct? So in options contract, as the name suggests, we have an option. Who has option? Only the buyer has the option to choose between what? Choose between pre-decided rate and spot rate on settlement date. Okay, now let me take one more example.
Sir, will it be between the time period of settlement date and the market rate, or only the market rate and settlement date?
Only the market rate on settlement date and the pre-decided rate. Okay, now there are two types of options. We'll come to that later. There is American option, European option. Okay, so there are two types of options that we'll do later. Let us just focus on the basic options contract. Okay, so now let us say who is the buyer and who is the seller. Okay, so Ranjan is the seller, correct? Ranjan is the seller who sells goods on credit of 2 months to Neola. Okay, so Neola becomes the buyer. Okay, now see what happens. Neola says, I want to have an option when the settlement date arrives. Okay, what option she is asking for? So she asks that I want an option so that I can choose between two rates. Which are the two rates? One is your spot rate on settlement date, correct? Spot rate on settlement date, and second is what? The pre-decided rate between Neola and Ranjan. Okay, but pay attention, only Neola, the buyer, can have this option. Only the buyer can have this option. So buyer can choose between any rate, whichever is preferable to her. Buyer can choose between any rate, that is whichever rate is preferable to her. So let us say spot rate on settlement date is $1 is equal to 73 rupees. Okay, this is equal to 73 rupees. And they had pre-decided that $1 should be equal to 75 rupees. So the contract was made with what? The contract between Neola and Ranjan was made at $1 will be 75 on 1st October. Correct? So they had pre-decided the rate of future as $1 equal to 75. But since this is an options contract, Neola can choose between 73 or 75, whichever is lower. And what is 73? It is the actual spot rate as if options contract was not there. Correct? So she can choose between whichever is better. Correct? So she will choose what? She will choose the lower rate. She will choose the lower rate because she is the buyer. She is going to pay 73. She's going to pay in USD. So she will choose 70. Okay. Now you guys will say, why will Ranjan enter into such a contract? Correct? Because Ranjan had pre-decided 75, right? Ranjan had pre-decided 75, and then Neola says, I don't want 75, I want 73. And Ranjan agrees to it. Correct? So this does not make sense, right? So Ranjan will say that if you want such option in the future, correct? If Neola wants such option in the future, she will have to pay Ranjan a cost for having such option. That is your premium. Okay. So Neola will have to pay premium to Ranjan. And this premium will be paid on which date? Will be paid on agreement date itself. That is on 1st August itself. Agreement date itself. Correct? And this premium is going to be non-refundable. Understood now the basic of options contract? So yes. Buyer, what is the benefit to the buyer? Buyer gets to choose between settlement date, spot rate, and pre-decided rate, whichever is better. Okay, but that choice, the buyer will have that choice when? On the settlement date. Okay, what is the benefit to the seller? What is the benefit to Ranjan over here? Yes.
Premium.
Correct.
Premium, sir.
Ranjan will say that I will take premium from you. And when will Ranjan take the premium?
On the date of the contract.
On agreement date. So Ranjan gets the premium as of today. And Neola gets the choice later on during settlement date. So now see. If let us say in this example, let us say Ranjan says the pre-decided rate is 1 USD is equal to 78 rupees. Correct? And you have to pay me premium of 3 rupees. You have to pay me premium of 3 rupees. Okay. So this rate, this pre-decided rate, it is decided on 1st August. Correct? And this premium also, it will be paid on 1st August. Correct? Now, on settlement date, that is on, let us say 1st October, the actual market rate is 1 USD is equal to 76 rupees. Correct? On settlement date on 1st October, actual market rate is 1 USD equal to 76 rupees. Now, what will Neola do? Neola will choose between which two rates? 1 USD equal to 76 and 1 USD equal to 78, whichever is better for her. Right? So which one she will choose? She's a buyer. She is going to pay. So Neola will say, I don't want our pre-decided rate. Neola will say, I don't want our pre-decided rate. So the term she will use that I will lapse the contract and choose spot rate. I lapse the contract and choose spot rate, and she will choose what? She will choose 76 rupees. Correct? So now tell me, guys, in total, how much Neola has paid?
79.
Because Neola has already paid 3 rupees. Even if she lapses the contract, she will not get the refund of these 3 rupees. So Neola has paid 3 rupees and now she is choosing 76. So in short, she is going for what? 79 rupees. She is going to pay 79 rupees. Okay. But if the options contract was not chosen, instead of options contract, if this was futures contract, what happens? Futures contract, there is no premium of 3 rupees. Correct? And this choice is also not there. And Neola would have by default paid what? She would have by default paid 78 rupees. Correct, na? So it is not necessary that option is only beneficial to the buyer. Correct? In this case, what has happened? Ranjan had taken 3 rupees premium. So because of that, Ranjan actually gained 1 rupee per dollar. Correct, na? If premium was only 1 rupee, then Neola would have gained on the option premium. So it is a misconception that only the buyer, benefits from the option contract. It is not like that. Okay. So the entire profit depends upon what? The entire profit depends upon how much premium you pay to the seller. As a buyer, how much premium you pay to the seller. If Neola pays higher premium, so even if she gets a choice later on, she will lose out. If Neola pays a lower premium, then she gains it. Okay, then she will gain from the contract. Understood till here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just give me 1 minute. I'll bring my charger. Okay. So now let us understand how this premium is paid and how it is accounted for. Now we'll come to our concept of call option and put option. When to use call option and when to use put option. Okay. So this options contract, there will be 2 types. One will be your call option. Okay. And one will be your put option. Okay. Call option means what? Option to buy. Correct. And put option means what? Option to sell. Now see, there's a very big misconception. People think call option is with the buyer and put option is with the seller. This is wrong. This is wrong. Why this is wrong? Because option is always with the buyer. So then you will say, how can a buyer have option to sell? So here we are not buying or selling goods. Okay, we are not buying or selling goods. In any kind of option, in call option and put option, in both options, buyer will be buying the goods. In both options, buyer is going to buy the goods. Okay, it is about the currency, whether we are buying or selling the currency, whether we are buying or selling the underlying asset. Okay, so call option and put option both are for the buyer. Huh? Remember this part. Call and put option both are for the buyer. None of them is for the seller. Okay. So now let us understand the very basic of call option and put option. Now you'll know why we are saying why the buyer and why what about the seller. Okay. So let us say let's take example of Anish and Maitreyi. So Anish is a buyer from India. Okay, and Maitreyi is a seller of USA. Okay, and they have registered their contract because options contract is a regulated contract. Now there will be stock exchange, correct? So they have registered their contract on, let us say, New York Stock Exchange, NYSE. So they have registered their contract on New York Stock Exchange. Okay. So now let us understand what is call option. Huh? Call option is the option to buy the underlying asset. Okay. What is the underlying asset? Underlying asset is nothing but the currency of the stock exchange on which contract is registered. Okay. So underlying asset is nothing but currency of the stock exchange on which contract is registered. Okay. So now see, which is the stock exchange here? In this case, NYSE is the stock exchange, correct? So dollar will become the underlying asset. Correct? Dollar will become the underlying asset. So now we have to see what buyer, that means Anish, is going to do with the underlying asset. Correct? So Anish has to pay in dollars, right? Anish is an Indian buyer. Anish is a Indian buyer and he has bought from Maitreyi. So Anish has to pay in dollar. So Anish has to buy dollars. Correct? So he's buying underlying asset and therefore he is buying options, and therefore he will use call option. Therefore he will use call option. See if you're understanding why we are using call option here now. Always see what the buyer wants to do. So I'll write it over here. Always see what the buyer wants to do. Buyer wants to do with underlying asset. Correct? So step 1, find out what is underlying asset. Correct? Then step 2, see what buyer is going to do with underlying asset. Correct? And step 3, if buyer is buying underlying asset, you buy options, call option. If buyer is selling underlying asset, you sell options, you use put option. See if this is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, everyone, this is pretty clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Sir.
yeah. Now let us see what happens. Same example. Let us see how come we are using put option. Okay. Anish is buyer of India, buyer from India. Okay. Maitreyi is seller from USA. Till here problem is same. Okay. But they have registered their contract on Bombay Stock Exchange. They have registered their contract on Bombay Stock Exchange. Okay. Now what we want to do? We want to see what Anish does with underlying asset. So step 1, what you will find? What is the underlying asset? Correct. So in this case, what is the underlying asset, guys?
Rupees.
Correct. It is the currency on which contract is registered. So what is the underlying asset? Here underlying asset is rupees. Correct. So now step 2 is what? We have to see what Anish will do with rupees. Correct. What Anish will do with underlying asset. And since underlying asset is rupees, so we will see what Anish will do with rupees. So now Anish has to pay in dollars. Correct. Anish has to pay in dollars. So he will buy dollars. Correct. He will buy dollars. But to buy dollars, he will have to sell rupees, right? Because we are seeing what he does with rupees. So Anish has to pay in dollars. So he will buy dollars. But to buy dollars, he will sell rupees. Correct. If he is selling rupees, if he sells rupees, means what? He sells the underlying asset and therefore he sells the options.
Put.
Correct. And therefore he uses put option.
Okay.
He uses put option. See if this is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is how you will use call option and put option. Correct. That is how you will choose between call option and put option. So deciding whether it is a call option and put option is very important. Huh? Let me give one more example. You guys will tell me. Okay. So now who is left? Anisha. Sorry, not Anisha.
Anish and Mahima.
Anish and Mahima. Other Anish. Okay. Other Anish and Mahima. So Anish is let us say buyer from UK. Okay. And Mahima is a seller from Japan. Okay. The goods are invoiced in let us say dollars. and the contract is registered on New York Stock Exchange. This can happen, huh? They can register their contract on what? On a neutral stock exchange. Anish is from UK. His currency is pounds. Mahima is from Japan. Her currency is yen. But what they have done? They have chosen a neutral stock exchange and they have invoiced the goods in dollars. Correct? Now, tell me whether to use call option or whether to use put option. Whether Anish will use call option or put, and always think from Anish's point of view, huh? Because options is always thought from buyer's point of view. Should we use call option or put option?
Put option.
Everyone agrees?
I think call, sir.
Call option. Write it down
Call.
if you want. If you want, na in starting, na in the beginning, write it down. Okay. If you
Sir,
have-
all options. sir.
Okay. Okay. So first, find out what is the underlying asset. Underlying asset is what? Currency of the stock exchange. Currency of the stock exchange. So what is the currency of the stock exchange? NYC currency. So
Dollar.
that is dollar. So now, second thing, what we have to do? What Anish wants to do with dollars. What Anish wants to do with dollars. Correct? So Anish is payable in which currency? Yen or dollars? Anish is payable in dollars.
Dollars.
Because correct, because invoice is dollars. So Anish is not payable in yen. Huh? Even though he is payable to Mahima, the invoice is in dollars. So Anish is payable in dollars. So he will buy dollars. Correct? And we wanted to see what he does with dollars only, na? Correct? So he buys underlying asset. So he buys options. Correct? So he will use call option. Done. So in short, see the trick. Huh? See the trick. If the buyer, the country of the buyer and stock exchange of the contract is same, we will use call option. And if the country of the buyer and stock exchange of the contract is different, we will use call option.
So can you repeat that last sentence?
Last sentence.
What you told again?
If here what see what is happening, buyer's country and contract, your stock exchange country, it's different, right? Buyer's country and stock exchange country is different, so we are using call option. Okay. And even in our above example, Anish and Maitre example, buyer country is also India, Bombay Stock Exchange is also India. So if these two countries are same, then we use put option. Correct, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is how we will decide whether to use call option or put option. Now this is very clear to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us see the next one then. Let us see the next one.
So the trick what you said is if buyer's country and the stock exchange country is different, then it's call option. If it's the same, it's
don't memorize like that. Don't memorize like that, because what will happen? They might give you this thing also, na, neutral stock exchange and different invoice currency. So always do it in these three steps. So it is better that you do it in these three steps. Okay. What buyer wants to do with underlying asset? If buyer buys underlying asset, call option. If buyer sells underlying asset, put option. Correct? And that's why when we studied interest rate options also, it was the same thing, na? If buyer borrows money, then what happens? And if buyer deposits money, what happens? So their underlying asset was bonds and not the currency of the stock exchange. Okay. Yes. So now let us see what happens. Huh? So call option. Let us say now Anish chooses to use call option. Okay. Now he will not pay premium to Maitreya, to Mahima here. Correct. If Anish chooses to use call option, he will not pay premium to Mahima. He will have to pay premium to stock exchange, and stock exchange will pay it to Mahima, because stock exchange is the person who is going to interfere and deal with all the transaction. Okay, so let us say Anish chooses to use call option. That is step 1. Anish chooses to use call option, correct? Now he has to contact the stock exchange. He has to contact the stock exchange and tell he is choosing call option. Tell he is choosing call option, correct? So the stock exchange will give Anish different alternatives of call options, correct? Because stock exchange also has to gain somewhere, right? So stock exchange will say, we have different alternatives, you have to choose between one call option. Okay, so you have Anish has decided that he is going with call option, correct? But when he contacts the stock exchange and tells that he is choosing call option, stock exchange will give Anish different alternatives of call option. So that will be strike price, correct, with premium. So alternative one, strike price and premium. Okay, alternative 2, again strike price and premium. Alternative 3, again strike price and premium. Okay, so alternative 1 strike price is, let us say, 75 rupees per dollar. This is per dollar. This is also per dollar. And premium is, let us say, 2 rupees. Okay, strike price is 77 rupees. Okay, and premium is, let us say, 1 rupee, and strike price is 76.5 rupees. Okay, and let us say premium is 0.45. Okay, so these are the options, sorry, these are the alternatives available with Anish. So when Anish says, I want to use call option, and he contacts the stock exchange will give him 3 alternatives. Anish has to compulsorily choose only one of them. Okay, Anish has to choose compulsory one of them, correct? So what Anish will do, Anish will calculate an exercise price. Anish will calculate an exercise price, where exercise price is equal to strike price plus premium. Now why strike price plus premium? Let us understand. This is a call option. Call option means what? Option to buy. If it is an option to buy, 75 is what he pays because he is buying, correct? 75 is what he pays because he is buying, and as a buyer, premium is always going to pay. So this also payment, this also payment. So exercise price will be what? Payment plus payment, correct? So in the alternative one, exercise price will be what? 75 plus 2, so that is 77, correct? So that is your alternative 1. Why did we add premium? Understood, everyone? This is a call
Yes,
option.
sir.
This is a
Yes.
call option. Call option means what? Option to buy. If it is an option to buy, this is what you pay, and premium, buyer always pays premium. So this is you pay and this also you pay. So both are payments, so add them. Alternative 2 will be what? 77 plus 1, 78, correct? And alternative 3 will be what? 76.5 plus 0.45, so that is 76.95, correct? Now again the same thing. Since it is option, so since it is call option, that is option to buy, Anish will choose what? Anish will choose highest or lowest. He's buying, remember he's buying. So Anish will choose, Anish will choose the lowest. Means what? Lowest of exercise price. Anish will choose the lowest exercise price. That is. Now don't write 76.95. Don't write 76.95. Now you will break apart and write it. So that is strike price of 76.5, correct, and a premium of 0.45. So always remember, when you tell the stock exchange that we are going to choose the lowest exercise price. So obviously Anish has chosen this. So you will not now that 76.95 is irrelevant. Always account for your strike price separately and your premium separately. So exercise price is only for choosing. Exercise price, this entire thing is only for choosing which is the best option, correct, which is the best alternative. Once you choose that, your accounting will be done separately. Now you guys will tell me why accounting is done separately. Think about it. Why do I need to show strike price separately and premium separately?
Paid at different times.
Correct. Because premium immediately, if I choose alternative 3, stock exchange will say immediately pay the premium. Correct. And where will I use strike price? Anish will use strike price at the settlement date while comparing between the market rate. Correct, na? So step 3. Since Anish has chosen alternative 3, stock exchange will say pay premium immediately. That is pay 0.45. Pay attention, pay 0.45 per contract. Pay $0.45 per contract. Okay. So now you will have to find number of contracts as well. Correct. And what will be the number of contracts will be? It will be your contract. It will be your contract amount divided by, sorry, not a contract amount. It is called as invoice amount. Invoice amount divided by contract size. So number of contracts will be invoice amount divided by the contract size. Because the invoice between Anish and Mahima can be different, right? Invoice amount between Anish and Mahima can be, let us say, 1.5 million, or let us say 15,765. Correct. Contract, the invoice amount between Anish and Mahima can be 15,765, but your New York Stock Exchange says that our one contract is only $1,000. Correct. So now they both cannot enter into 15,765. They'll either have to enter into 15,000 or they will have to enter into 16,000. Correct, na? Because options contract is a standard contract. The exchange decides what is the contract size as well. Okay. So now what is going to happen? They are only going to enter into either 15 contracts or 16 contracts. But you guys tell me, should they enter into 15 contracts or should they enter into 16 contracts? Think about it.
So can you explain that step 3 again?
Step 3 I'll explain again. I have not completed the step 3. The invoice amount between Anish and Mahima is $15,765. Correct. But the exchange says, NYSE says, our one contract size is $1,000. $1,000, take it or leave it. Correct. Now if contract size is $1,000, you have to compulsory enter into denomination of thousands. Correct. So now Anish and Mahima can either enter into 15,765 divided by 1,000, right? Invoice amount divided by contract size. So that comes out to what? 15.765. So they can either, we cannot enter into 15.765 contracts, na? So we have to either enter into 15 contracts or we have to enter into 16 contracts. So Anish will have to now decide whether he wants to enter into 15 contracts or he wants to enter into 16 contracts. What should he do?
I think 15 contracts, sir.
Why correct? That is correct. But why? Because of this. Because he is going to pay premium per contract, right? He is going to pay premium per contract. So he will always go for under hedging. He'll always go for under hedging. So he will pay 15 contracts, correct, into $0.45. But then you will say, what about the remaining $765? Remaining $765, correct? He's gone only for 15 contracts now. So $15,000. So remaining $765 is not covered under options contract. It is not going to be covered under option contract. So Anish and Mahima can enter into forward contract for that. Or they don't even need to enter into contract. They can just take the risk and do it at spot rate. That is also okay. That depends between them. But my stock exchange will say, I don't care what happens with $765. You have chosen 15 contracts, so I'll only deal with 15 contracts. Correct? Understood till here? So that's why this number of contracts becomes important. So in ACCA exam, you are always going to go for under hedging, guys. You are always going to go for under hedging, unless it is something like 15,998. So that will be 15.998. That time you will choose 16 contracts. Okay. Clear till here now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Now pay attention. Now comes one more important point in step 3 itself. If premium is in other currency, we have to pay premium to the stock exchange, right? Now here premium and stock exchange is same. Premium was $0.45 and stock exchange was NYSE, right? But if premium and stock exchange are different, if premium is in other currency, then convert premium at current spot rate and then pay to the exchange. Right? So for example, if premium was in rupees, correct, you cannot pay premium of rupees to New York Stock Exchange, obviously, correct? So that time what you will have to do, you have to convert premium at the current spot rate and then pay to the exchange. Now what do you mean by current spot rate? Which date spot rate? We are still on agreement data, guys. We are still on agreement date spot rate, because we have just paid the premium right now. Is this clear to everyone till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now everything on the agreement date has been done. Let us just recap. Everything on agreement date has been done, right? And first step 1 is what? Choose whether call option or put option. Okay. Then contact exchange. Then exchange will give me different alternatives. Okay. Since we are using call option, we are going to calculate exercise price as what? Strike price plus premium. And then choose the lowest premium. Why? Because we are using options, call option. Okay. But once you choose, you will never say 76.95. You will always say strike price of 76.5 and premium of 0.45. Okay. This premium you have to pay immediately right now on agreement date, and that premium will be per contract. Okay. So that's why you also need to calculate number of contracts. Okay. Now, and then here only you will have to decide whether you go for under hedging or over hedging. Here only you decide whether to go for under hedging or over hedging. And if premium is in other currency, then convert premium at current spot rate. Okay. So now on agreement date, everything is done. So now we'll go for settlement date. On settlement date, again, what will happen? Anish gets the choice. Between two things. One is what? Settlement date spot rate. Okay. And what is the second thing?
Pre-decided.
Pre-decided which? Exercise price or strike price?
Strike.
Don't take 76.95 over here now. Pre-decided strike price of 76.5. Okay, so let us say this was say 77.2. This was 77.2. So obviously, what will Anish choose? It is a call option. Remember, this is a call option. This is a call option. So it is option to buy. It is an option to buy. So again here Anish will choose what? Anish chooses the lowest. Anish chooses the lowest. That is which one? 76.5. Correct? So now pay attention. What happens? Step 5. Step 5, guys, pay attention. This is very important point. Anish is an Indian buyer, right? So he has to convert into rupees. So now what happens here? Total contract amount that Anish will record in his books of accounts. In his books of accounts. First is premium, which is already accounted for. Correct? Premium, which is already recorded as per step 3. Correct? And that is a payment. That is a payment. Now, second, pay attention. Anish had gone for 15 contracts. So $15,000. Oops. $15,000 into what rate? $15,000 were hedged amount. $15,000 was the hedged amount, right? So at what rate it will convert? As per options contract. As per options, which he had chosen, 76.5 had chosen. This is also payment. Okay. But now pay attention. So this is as per step 5. Sorry, step 4 here, 76.5. But one more thing is remaining. What is that?
The balance amount.
Correct. 765 is the unhedged amount. But now he cannot use unhedged amount at 76.5. Correct? Because strike price was only if he had entered into options contract. This strike price is a price of options contract. So he can choose between this and this only if options contract was entered. This $765 is unhedged amount. Correct? So that will be at what? That will be compulsorily at spot rate of 77 point. Again payment. Again. That is your final answer. Take the total of all these three. You will get the final answer of call option. Total payment made by Anish. So in the entire question, we are thinking from Anish's point of view. So what is the benefit for Mahima? Mahima is only getting the premium on agreement date. That's the only benefit to Mahima. See if this is very clear now.
So can you please repeat hedged amount, sir? Calculation of hedged amount.
Okay. So calculation of hedged amount, I'll explain again. So we had taken a hypothetical example that invoice amount between the two of them was how much? 15,765. But NYSE says our one contract is only $1,000. Our one contract is only $1,000. Correct? So if you calculate number of contracts, it will be invoice amount 15,765 divided by contract size 1,000. So that comes out to 15.765. So we cannot enter into half contract, right? We cannot enter into half contract. We either have to enter into 15 or 16. So we decided to enter into 15 contracts. Okay. So what is the hedged amount? 15 contracts into $1,000.
Okay.
So hedged amount is 15,000 and remaining will be unhedged amount.
Okay.
So for only this hedged amount, you can use that option. Only for hedged amount, you can use this step 4 rate, the rate of your choice. Only for hedged amount, you can use rate of your choice. For unhedged amount, you compulsory have to use settlement date spot rate. Compulsory, you have to use settlement date spot rate. Done. So call option is clear, guys.
Yes, sir.
Now put option is simple. Put option is simple.
Sir, in the step 5,
Uh-huh.
step 5, you said premium has already been recorded.
Correct.
So what do you mean by that, sir? As in recorded where, sir?
Recorded means on agreement date. Step 5, we are doing step 5 on which date? Settlement date, right?
Settlement date, yes, sir.
And premium has already been paid in which date? Agreement date.
Okay, sir.
Correct. So it was
this is
already
only. Okay, sir. Got it.
This is only your final answer that how much Anish has to pay.
Okay, sir.
Correct. So this payment Anish has done on agreement date. Correct. And these two payments Anish will do on settlement date.
Yes,
but still, if we take the total of Anish's payment, it will have everything. Correct. It will have all these three factors.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in this entire options contract, there is no concept of initial margin like we have in futures contract. Okay, futures contract, there is concept of initial margin, but options contract, we don't have the concept of initial margin. Correct? So it is only about premium. It is only about the premium. Now let us change the this thing question to put option. Let us say Anish chooses put option. Now you guys will only tell me, Anish chooses put option, that is option to sell. He is not selling goods, guys. He is not selling the goods. He is buying the goods, but he is going to sell the currency. Correct? Now, again, the same thing. He has to contact stock exchange and tell he is choosing. Put options. Tell he is choosing put options. So stock exchange will again give Anish different alternatives of put options. Strike price, same thing. Let me change this a little bit. Okay. So $5, $4, and let us take this as $6.8. Okay. So now stock exchange is giving Anish these different alternatives for put option. Now see, we are having option to sell the currency. If we sell the currency, 75 is what we get, right? If we sell the currency, if we sell dollars, 75 is what we get. Okay. And premium anyways, Anish is the buyer, right? In this example also Anish is buyer. Premium is what he pays. So 75 is what he gets, 5 is what he pays. So exercise price will be what? Strike price minus premium. Correct? Not plus premium. Understood? In put option what happens? So now this will be 75 minus 5, 70. Correct? 77 minus 4. Correct? 73. And then 76.5 minus 6.8 minus 6.8.
69.7.
69.7. Okay. 69.7. Correct. Now pay attention. Since it is, now what is this? Since it is a put option, that is option to sell, Anish will choose lowest or highest?
Highest.
Correct. Anish
Highest.
will choose,
Highest.
Correct. Highest means what? 73. Anish will choose highest means Anish will take 73, but you will not say 73, you will say strike price of 77 and a premium of 4. Now premium amount is huge, correct? And the premium of 4. Understood this part? Okay. So now, since Anish has chosen the alternative, stock exchange will say what? Pay premium, because still here Anish is the buyer, right? Anish is not the seller. He's only selling the currency, but he has bought the goods. So Anish will have to pay $4 per contract. So again, same number of contracts, that calculation remains same. Under hedging, over hedging, that decision remains same. Now, on settlement date, Anish gets to choose between what? Settlement date spot rate is 77.2. And what is the pre-decided spot rate now? It is not 73, it is 77. It is a strike price. This 77 strike price. Correct. So Anish will choose what? Anish will choose 77.2. 77.2. Correct. So premium he has already paid. $15,000 he will do at hedged amount, that is 77.2, correct? And unhedged amount also compulsory, he has no choice, compulsory he have to do it at 77.2. Okay, so coincidentally it is same, huh? Coincidentally it is same. It could also have been, let us say, if this was 76.3, correct, then this would have been, he would have chosen the highest here, he would have chosen the highest, that is 77, correct? So premium already recorded, $15,000 will be at step 4 price, and unhedged amount will be compulsorily at spot rate. So spot rate is 76 point. But now pay attention. This is payment, but this will be receipt because he is receiving the currency, and this will also be receipt because he is receiving the currency. Or you can, sorry, that is not the correct. Or you can do it the other way. This will be what? This will be the payment because he is the buyer. Payment, and this will be what? This will be your receipt. This will be your receipt. Okay. So that is how you will account for your put option. So in put option only 2-3 things changes. One is that calculation of exercise price, then choosing the highest exercise price, and during spot trade, during settlement date, choosing again the highest price. Understood now? Call and put option. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So how is premium receipt?
Which one?
Premium.
Receipt means plus minus, right? Receipt means here I am talking about this will be positive. Sorry, not, I'll not call it as receipt. This will be positive amount. Correct? This will be positive amount, and this will be a negative amount. So instead of payment and receipt, this will be a better way to use it. Correct? In call premium, everything is payment. Correct? But here, this will be what? Hedged amount will be positive, unhedged amount will be positive, and premium is what you pay. So that will be negative.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So rather than calling it as receipt and payment, this will be a better way to do it. Okay. So in case of receipts and payment, the first one was right. These two will be receipts and premium will be payment. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let us solve a question then. Let us solve one question. You want to solve a question, right? Or no?
Couldn't hear you, sir.
Huh? You guys want to solve a question, na? Or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll solve this one. Should I send it on the WhatsApp group or should I send it here only? I'll send it here only. Okay, you guys know how to choose the rate, right? Between bid rate and ask rate. Hello. You guys know how to choose between bid rate and ask rate, na? If two rates, if it is a two-way quote, how to choose it? Which rate to choose?
Can you tell that again?
Okay. Okay, so let us see, because that is important while choosing. So when it is a two-way quote, okay, so let us say Anish, same example, Anish is the Indian buyer, okay, buys goods from Maitreyi, okay, and or let us not take Indian buyer because it is easier for you guys to understand. So let us say is Anish is a Japanese buyer, buys goods from Maitreyi, who is a UK seller, okay. Invoice is 45,000 UK pounds sterlings, okay, and exchange rate is given as £1 is equal to 145/159 yen. Okay, how will you convert this? Convert into yen. How will you convert into yen? What is the logic that you guys use?
So, like, if we use the logic that we are a buyer, we would look for a higher exchange rate.
We are a buyer, so we'll look for a higher exchange rate. See,
Higher exchange rate.
so that depends whether it is a direct quote or an indirect quote. Okay, so that logic is only applicable for direct quote. What you are saying now, that logic is only applicable to direct quote. Okay, so
Okay,
first decide whether it is direct quote or indirect quote. Correct. So what is a direct quote? Direct quote means foreign currency is in 1 unit, correct, and home currency is in equivalent units. Okay, so in this case Anish is a Japanese buyer, right? Anish is a Japanese buyer, and what they have given, so Japanese yen will become my home currency and pound will become my counter currency. So here what is happening? Foreign currency, that is pound, is a foreign currency. It is given in 1 unit, right? And home currency is given in equivalent units. So this becomes a direct quote. In this question, this becomes a direct quote. Okay, but let us say what if the rate was given as 1 yen equal to XYZ pounds. The rate can be given like this also now. So for this example, what happens then? If in this case, instead of this, it was 1 yen equal to XYZ pounds, then Anish is a Japanese buyer, so home currency is in 1 unit. Correct na? Anish is a Japanese buyer, so yen is in 1 unit and pounds are in equivalent unit. Then that time it will become an indirect quote. Correct? So indirect quote means when home currency is in 1 unit and foreign currency is in equivalent units. Okay, now always think what company does with foreign currency. Okay, so in case of direct quote, company buys foreign currency at a higher rate and sells foreign currency at a lower rate. And if it is an indirect quote, then company buys foreign currency at a lower rate and company sells foreign currency at a high rate. See if this is clear, write this down. Okay, so it is not randomly that you are going to say buyer is going to buy at higher. Okay, we cannot say buyer is going to buy at higher. That is applicable only for direct quote. But ACCA have given many problems in indirect quote also. So if it is a direct quote, then buyer buys the foreign currency at higher rate and sells the foreign currency at lower rate. But if it is an indirect quote, then buyer buys the foreign currency at a lower rate and sells the foreign currency at a higher rate. Write this down. So before you start any problem, guys, before you start any foreign currency problem, you have to see this. You have to see this and then decide which rate will use. Because once you decide that you are using higher rate, then entire problem, you just need to convert everything at higher rate. But if you decide that your problem is with lower rate, then entire problem you will convert only with the lower rate. Correct? So two-way quote, only one quote we need, either higher or the lower.
Chicks. Chicks.
So,
Okay, let us do the problem then. Done with this, no?
yes, sir.
Okay. So I have sent the problem on the Zoom group chat. I have sent the problem on the Zoom group chat. Let us see that problem. Pongo PLC is a UK based import export company. So now we are thinking everything from Pongo company's point of view. Huh? It has an invoice which is due to pay on 30th June in respect of $350,000. The company wishes to hedge its exposure to risk using traded options. So now see, a two-way quote is given, right? They have given a two-way quote. So now first we have to decide whether we want to use the higher quote or a lower quote. So before you start the problem, before you start solving the problem, just write down whether it is a direct quote, indirect quote, and in the entire problem, do we want to use higher quote or we want to use lower quote? Correct? So now see, Pongo PLC is UK based company. It is a UK based company. So UK becomes my UK pounds. UK pounds become my home currency, right? And what is the other currency? Dollars. And US dollars become my foreign currency. Correct? Now, how is the rate given? How is the rate given? Dollar per pound. How to read this? This is dollar per pound means what? Means 1 pound equal to so and so dollar, or $1 equal to so and so pound?
$1 is equal to.
No, dollar per pound. How do you read this? Rupees per kg. Do you read 1 rupee equal to so and so kg, or 1 kg equal to so and so rupees?
1 kg is equal to so and so.
Correct. So dollar per pound means what? 1 pound equal to, what is the rate they have given? 1.519, whatever rate. 1 pound equal to XYZ dollars. Correct, na? 1 pound equal to XYZ dollar. Dollar per pound means 1 pound per pound. Na? Per pound means 1 pound equal to XYZ dollars. Correct. So now tell me, is it a direct quote or indirect quote?
Direct, sir.
Direct quote.
Which currency is in 1 unit?
Foreign currency.
How come
Dollars.
foreign currency, re?
Home currency.
1 pound equal to XYZ dollars, na? So Pongo PLC is a UK based company.
Oh.
So home currency is in 1 unit. If home currency is in 1 unit, it will become what? It will become an indirect quote. Correct? What is the rule of indirect quote? Company will buy foreign currency at a lower rate and sell foreign currency at a higher rate. If you understood this part, this is very important, huh? Because what happens in F9, I'll tell you what happens in F9. F9, majority what? Almost 100% of the problem are at direct quote. They are at direct quote. So you can use that logic, buy at higher, buyer buys at higher. Correct, na? But in indirect quote, it is exactly other way around. Company will buy at lower. Okay. So in ACCA P4, the problems can be direct as well as indirect. See if everyone has understood this part.
So can you
Yes,
please repeat how to determine if it's direct quote or indirect quote?
How to determine if where did I write that? I don't know. Okay. So if this is for Indian company, 1 USD equal to XYZ rupees. This is one way of writing one quote. And for Indian company, 1 rupee is equal to XYZ dollars. A quote can be written in any of these format, right? A quote can be written in any of these format. For Indian company, home currency is rupees, correct? And foreign currency is US dollar. So in first case, which currency is in 1 unit? Dollars is in 1 unit, correct? Foreign currency is in 1 unit. So when foreign currency is 1 unit, it is what? It is going to be direct quote. Because see now, for us this is easier to understand now. For Indian company, 1 USD equal to XYZ dollars is easier to understand. So if I say 1 USD equal to 76 rupees, it will be easy. But if I say 1 rupee equal to 0.015, then that will be a little bit difficult to understand. Okay. So when foreign currency is in 1 unit, it becomes a direct quote. Now for Indian company, in this case, which currency is in 1 unit? Home currency is in 1 unit, right? So this becomes what? This becomes an indirect quote. So coming back to the current question, our company, which is our company? Pongo PLC. Pongo PLC is a UK based company. UK based means immediately write down. UK pounds will become what? Home currency. And what is the other currency in the problem? Dollars. Here, dollar. So dollar will become foreign currency. Now, how they have given the rate? They have given the rate as dollar per pound. Dollar per pound means what? 1 pound equal to XYZ dollars. So 1 pound is in 1 unit, means which currency is in 1 unit? Home currency is in 1 unit. If home currency is in 1 unit, it becomes what? It becomes an indirect quote.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, and immediately write down the rule. Company will buy foreign currency at lower rate and sell foreign currency at higher rate. Okay, and guys, if you are getting confused now, write all of this down now. Don't do this orally. In the beginning, if you do it orally now, you will get very confused. There is no shame in writing this down, even in the exam. Correct? So company will buy foreign currency at lower and sell foreign currency at higher. Now tell me, does Pongo PLC want to buy or sell foreign currency? What does it want to do with foreign currency? In the problem, does Pongo PLC want to buy foreign currency or sell foreign currency? Tell me. Does Pongo PLC want to buy the foreign currency or does it want to sell the foreign currency? I can just hear white noise. I can't hear the answers. So see, it has an invoice which is due to pay on 30th June. So Pongo PLC wants to pay dollars. It wants to pay dollars. So it will what? Buy dollars, right? Correct. That is buy foreign currency. And what is our logic? If you are buying foreign currency, we'll use what? So in this problem, so use lower rate. So in this entire problem, now we have converted our two-way quote to one-way quote. So in entire problem, we use the lower rate for conversion. Okay. See if this is understood. Without this, you cannot do the problem. Huh? Without this, you cannot do the problem.
Understood, sir.
Okay, let us go ahead now. So now we can start with our options contract. So let us just copy down our steps. we have written the steps in detail. No problem, no problem. So step 1. So step 1 is what? Decide whether to use call option or put option. That is our step 1. Correct. Let us decide then. Let us decide reading the problem. Pongo PLC has to pay $350,000 and on life contract size is 25,000 pound. Correct. On life means what? It is pound, 25,000 pound, right? Pound means what? It is a UK based stock exchange. Okay. So Pongo PLC is the buyer, which is UK based, and your stock exchange is also UK based. Stock exchange is also UK based, because the stock exchange currency is pound. Correct. So underlying asset is what? Underlying asset is pound. Underlying asset is pound. So I want to see what Pongo will do. What Pongo will do with pounds. What Pongo will do with pounds. Pongo wants to buy dollars, right? Pongo wants to buy dollars. So it will buy. Sorry, Pongo wants to pay. Pongo wants to pay in dollars. Pay in dollars. So it buys dollars, right? It buys dollars. But I don't want to see what Pongo does with dollars. I want to see what Pongo does with pounds, right? So it buys dollars means what? Means it sells pounds. If it sells pounds, it sells the options, and therefore it will use put option. It will use the put option. So step 1 is done, that we are decided to use put option. Everyone got this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone understood the put option? No problem in that. Okay, next. Now step 2. Step 2. What is step 2? Contact stock exchange. Correct. And it will give us alternatives. It will give alternatives. Just see in some if they have given alternatives. Choose between alternative. Choose between alternative. So in the question, they have given exercise price. Correct. So exercise in ACC they will call both of them exercise price. So that will be exercise price before premium and exercise price after premium. They will not call it strike price. Okay. So exercise price, and they have given call as well as put, but we don't need put. We don't need call options now. So you can totally ignore call. And put premium is how much? 10.20 and 12.40. But pay attention. Option premia are given in cents per pound. It is cents per pound, na? So it is not dollar per pound. And exercise price is what? Exercise price is dollar per pound. Correct. So exercise price before premium, or we can also call it as strike price. Correct. Now, what do we do with premium? Should we add premium or should we deduct premium?
Deduct.
Correct. Correct. Less premium. Therefore, we'll get what we'll get. We'll get exercise price after premium. Okay. So what are the exercise prices given? 1.45 and 1.50. Right. 1.45 and 1.50. Premium will only take off put, will not take off call. But premium is given in cent. I don't want premium in cent. I want premium in dollars. Because exercise price is in dollars. So I want premium also in dollars. So this will be 10.20 or 0.1020. Correct. And 0.1240. Like rupee and paise. So premium they have given in paise and exercise price they have given in rupee. So I'll convert paise to rupee dividing by 100. So exercise price after premium will be what? This minus this. This minus this, right? So now since we are using put options, which one I'll choose? Choose the highest. Choose the highest. What is the highest one? Correct. 1.376. That is immediately write down. Rate of 1.5 and premium of 0.124. Correct. Rate of 1.5 and premium of 0.124. So strike price, we can also call it as strike price of 1.5 and premium of 0.124. Okay. No doubt till here?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Step 3. Now let us see what happens in step 3. Now what do I want to do? I want to pay premium. I want to pay premium. Correct. But for paying premium, first calculate number of contracts. First calculate number of contracts. Correct. So number of contracts will be what? Number of contracts will be your contract, sorry, invoice amount divided by contract size divided by contract size, right? So what is the invoice amount? 350. First line, invoice amount is 350,000. And what is the contract size? 25,000. But what is the problem over here?
Dollar and
Different
pound.
currencies.
Correct. So invoice amount is $350,000, whereas contract size is what? Contract size is 25,000 pounds. I cannot divide dollar by pounds. So which currency will convert? Should I convert dollar into pound or should I convert pound into dollar?
Pound into dollar.
Pound to dollar.
See, my stock exchange is what?
Pound, sir.
My stock exchange is life, na? My stock exchange is pound. So I'll convert dollar into pound. So first convert dollar into pound. At what rate? At what rate? That is important. I'll convert dollar into pound, but at what rate? Think about it and tell me.
Spot rate.
Not spot rate, because I'll tell you why. Because I have already chosen the option, na? If I already chosen the option, correct? Pongo has already chosen the option, correct? So convert at strike price. Convert at strike price. See if this is clear. Pongo has already chosen the option, so we'll have to convert it at the strike price. Don't convert at spot rate. Premium you will have to convert at spot rate, guys. Premium you convert at spot rate. I had written step 3, convert premium at spot rate, but this is not premium, right? This is not premium. This is number of contracts. Okay. So I have already chosen options contract. So I'll convert at strike price. So that will be, that will be $350,000 divided by 1.5. Strike price is 1.5, not 1.376. Correct. And the whole thing divided by 25,000. So number of contracts will be this amount divided by this amount. 9.33 contracts. Again, a problem. See if this is clear to everyone. How did we get this 233, 333? $350,000 divided by strike price. 350,000 divided by strike price. So now this is also in pounds and this is also in pounds. So 9.33 contracts. So I cannot enter into 9.33 contracts. So what will we do? Pongo will go for what? Under hedging, na? Under hedging and choose 9 contracts. Correct? So immediately calculate.
So what will?
Yes.
So how will we convert pounds to dollars?
Why do we need to convert pounds to dollars right now?
If we have to do it.
Same, na, at the strike price. Here you are dividing, then otherwise you will multiply.
Okay, okay, sir.
Correct? Okay. So
So
now
what is the logic of using strike price, sir?
so why using, I'll tell you why using strike price, because you have already chosen the option, right? You have already chosen the option, means you have already chosen a strike price of 1.5. So when you contact the stock exchange and you say, I want to calculate number of contracts, will say, the exchange will say that since you have already chosen the option, your entire conversion of the options contract will be at 1.5 and premium will be converted at spot rate. So any option, any amount within the options contract will be converted at strike price and premium will always be converted at spot rate. That is the rule of stock exchange.
Because we contacted the stock exchange, won't we have the option then of taking the spot rate or the strike rate?
No. That option, when do you get that option? On settlement date, na?
Settlement. Okay.
You don't get that option over here, huh? You will not get that option over here.
Okay, sir.
So that option to choose between two rates, is only on settlement date. Okay. Here by default, always remember, invoice amount always converted at strike price and premium amount always converted at spot rate. Okay. Now tell me, how much is the hedged amount then? Hedged amount and unhedged amount in pounds. If I am going for only 9 contracts, hedged amount will be what? 25,000 into 9, na?
2,25,000.
Correct. And unhedged amount is simple. Total amount minus hedged amount. Total amount minus hedged amount. Correct. That will give me unhedged amount. Is this clear to everyone? Hedged amount is 225,000 pounds. Unhedged amount will be your total amount, total invoice amount minus hedged amount. So that will be 833,333. Okay. And just in case, if I want to have in dollars, I can have in dollars also, na? Because I already know that this was converted at 1.5. Correct. So if I just in case I want it in dollars, this will be 225 into 1.5. And this will be, now this will be simple, 350 minus 337. Correct. In dollars it was 350, na? So it will be 350 minus 337. Or you can also cross check. It will be 8, this amount into 1.5. It will come out the same. So just in case, I'll have hedged amount and unhedged amount both in pounds and in dollars. Just in case, I'll just calculate and keep this as it is. Maybe we will require somewhere in the future steps, we might require it. Understood hedged amount and unhedged amount, everyone? Oops.
Yes, sir.
Let me like this one. Okay. So now pay premium to the stock exchange. Pay premium to the stock exchange as per how many contracts? As per 9 contracts. Correct? Pay premium to the stock exchange as per 9 contracts. What is the premium? How much is the premium? We already decided na premium. How much is the premium? 0.124.
0.12.
What? 0.124 what? Dollars or pounds?
Pounds.
No, here. See the original exchange rate. See the original exchange rate. It is what? Dollar per pound, na? So this will be 0.124 dollars per pound. Write it like this only, na? Per pound. Original exchange rate was what? Dollar per pound. So premium is also what? Premium is also 0.124 dollar per pound. Okay. So it means what? Now pay attention, na, guys. This is very important. It means for 1 pound, how much was this thing? Premium was 0.124 dollars. Correct. Now guys, pay attention and tell me, on how many pounds should I calculate the premium? Premium is, here they have given premium is 1 pound, premium is 0.124 dollars, right? So do I keep it for 1 pound or do I pay premium for how many pounds? Think about it.
For the hedged amount.
Correct. Perfect. Because only for hedged amount I'll pay premium, na? If this is not covered under options contract, why will I pay premium for that? Correct. So I'll pay premium only for hedged amount. 9 contracts means what? Only for hedged amount. So premium is for 1 pound, it is 0.124 dollars. Therefore, for 225,000 pounds, it will be how much? For 225 pounds, it will be how much? So that will be, premium will be 225,000 into 0.124, right?
27,900.
Okay. And the answer is what? Answer is in dollars or in pounds?
Pounds.
How come pounds, Ray? For 1 pound, for 1 pound it was 0.124 dollars.
Oh, sorry, sir.
So
Yeah,
for
yeah.
225,000 pounds, it will be $27,900. But guys, pay attention. Which is the stock exchange? Is the stock exchange going to accept premium in dollars? Will stock exchange accept premium in dollars? Just check.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Why? It is London, it is in pounds, correct? So it will not accept premium in dollars, correct? So what will you do? Convert dollars into pounds. Now you tell me at what rate? Convert premium of dollars, convert the premium of dollars into pounds at what rate?
Spot rate.
Correct, because I had told you that invoice amount will be converted at strike price and premium will be converted at spot rate. Write this in your top margin somewhere, that always your invoice amount in options contract, invoice amount will be converted at strike price on agreement data, that is on agreement date. So on agreement date, invoice amount will be converted at strike price and premium will be converted at spot rate. So what is the spot rate on agreement date? On agreement date, what is the spot rate? Now we know there are two rates. We have already decided which rate we are going to take in the whole problem. Lower rate, na? So 1 pound equal to, what is the lower rate? 1.5190. 1.5190 dollars. Correct. So how many pounds for $27,900? Okay. Therefore, finally we'll get our premium amount in home currency, in the currency of the stock exchange. So that will be 27,900 divided by 1.5. Sorry, not 1.5, 1.5190. Okay. So premium will be equal to,
so 18,367.34.
what currency? Pounds. Everywhere in options contract, write the currency, guys. Otherwise, you will get everything wrong. If you don't write the currency at the last time when you calculate the final contract amount, you will never understand whether it was pounds or dollars. Okay. So till here, see if everyone has understood this part. See if everyone has understood this.
So can you explain the unhedged amount part again?
Okay, unhedged amount, I'll explain. So how many what was the number of contracts? 9.33, na? Number of contracts was 9.33, but I cannot enter into 9.33 contracts. I have to either enter into 9 contracts or 10 contracts. But what we are going to do, we are always going to go for under hedging, because lower contracts, lower payment of premium. Okay, so if I choose 9 contracts, per contract is what? 25,000. Per contract size is 25,000, na, given in the question.
Yes, sir.
One contract is 25,000. So if I choose 9 contracts, how much is the total amount I am going? 25,000 into 9. 25,000 into 9. So this is what I am entering. If I am entering, means what? This is my hedged amount. Correct? And what is the total number of pounds? 233, 333. So unhedged amount will be what? This minus 2,25,000. This minus 2,25,000. That will give me unhedged amount.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And when we pay premium, what is the premium? For £1, premium was $0.124. Now I'll not pay premium for the entire 2,33,000 pounds. Why? Because options contract is only for 9 contracts. So only for 2,25,000 pounds. So I'll pay premium only for 2,25,000 pounds. Okay.
Got it, sir.
Okay. Now, next. So this is the most important step. Step 3 is the most important step, because like I said, premium is only on premium, your profit will be dependent. Okay. Profits of options will be dependent on premium. So now on agreement date, finally we have done everything, right? On agreement date, we have finally done everything. So now we can go on settlement date. Now we can go to settlement date. So on settlement date, what happens on settlement date? Pongo gets to decide between two things. What is the first thing? Pre-decided strike price, which was how much? 1.5, right? Pre-decided strike price was 1.5. And what is the second thing? Spot rate on settlement date. So just see, on settlement date, have you given the spot rate on settlement date? Last line. If spot rate is again two-way quote, but I don't need to worry about two-way quote, because in the entire problem I'm going to take the lower quote. So my spot rate is what? 1.4810. 1.4810. Correct? So now done. So Pongo has entered into which contract? Entered into call or put? Entered into put option. So it will choose. Higher rate. That is your 1.5. Correct? So now last step. This was step 4. And last step will be what? Last step 5 will be your contract amount. So contract amount will be first hedged amount. Hedged amount converted at what? Converted as per step 4, right? Hedged amount converted as step 4. Unhedged amount converted at what? Converted at what rate should we take? Step 4 or spot rate?
Spot rate.
Spot rate.
Correct. Spot rate. And what was the third one? Premium. Third one was our premium. Okay. So now for hedged amount, guys, pay attention. For hedged amount, which hedged amount should I take? Here I calculated na hedged amount in pounds and hedged amount in dollars. Which hedged amount I should take? Pounds wala ya dollar wala?
Pounds, sir.
If I take pound, then why will I need to convert it na? I am going to convert using a rate na. I am Pongo PLC. I am a UK based company. If I take it in pounds, why will I convert it in pounds? That will be wrong. So why was the need to convert? Because those amounts were in dollars. See the original contract amount. Original contract amount was in dollars, na? So hedged amount as per dollars. I'll have to take as per dollars. These amounts. Correct? See if you understood this. So that will be $337,500 converted at 1.5 and $12,500 converted at spot rate 1.481, and premium was already in pounds. Premium was already converted in pounds, right? This was already converted in pounds on agreement date. Remember, na? Okay, so let us see. So this will be what? This will be 337,500 divided by 1.5. This will be 12,500 divided by 1.481. So these we have got in pounds, correct? These also we have got in pounds. And premium we are already converted into pounds. 18,367 these. That was already in pounds. So 18,367 pounds. Okay. So what is the final contract amount? Contract amount will be this plus this minus premium minus premium. This will be my final answer in pounds. So $350,000 was my invoice amount. Correct. After entire hedging, I converted. So I'll write 2,15,073 pounds in my books of accounts.